I'm somebody that, if you've listened to this long enough, I'm a chubby boy, and I'm very into my food, and
Son of a bitch. Got you pushing too many pencils at the CIA? Apparently there was a bug at some point that trashed everyone's inventories. So it's like, you may not have anything if you have.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the theretrorents Retro Gaming Podcast. My name is Al.
I'm Nick.
And we are back for episode 57. I understand it has been about 3 weeks since we recorded last. Obviously, there's a couple reasons for that. The last time we recorded, we interviewed the amazing Julia Minamata, which was a really fun interview.
Really, that was a fun one. Getting into that mindset of, just the independent developer, so to speak.
Yeah, not just independent developer, but independent solo developer.
True, very true.
Did you get to join the composition live stream she did with Dan Polakar?
So I wasn't able to join the live stream stuff, but I was able to go back and actually watch because they did it on YouTube, I believe, or at least they posted it to YouTube. So I was able to watch it. It's like that was a treat to actually watch.
Wasn't that cool?
Again, that process of selecting what they were kind of looking for in particular scenes, and the mood to be set, and kind of the instruments to accompany. It's like that's so cool to see.
Yeah, if you watched my comments throughout that, it really reminds me why my boss calls me the team's little ray of sunshine. Because I'm just sitting there like, oh, that's great. Oh, that's creepy. Oh, it makes her sound like she's really got something to worry about. And Julia was just awesome. She's like, nope, not what I'm looking for. It was like, oh my god, she rules. That was a real treat to be a part of, and just a big thank you to Julia for sharing that with us and giving us that heads up, and obviously doing the interview with us. That was a ton of fun, and it was really fun for me to meet yet another person who loves Quest for Glory as much as I do. Dude, that was so cool. Just hearing her say the same things that I've felt about that game for years, and some of the stuff I forgot, the firsts that it had that really sucked me in, like a day-night cycle. That was a very new thing, especially for the Sierra Adventure games back then, to have that kind of thing. So it just added to the immersion of what made that game so great and so ahead of its time, and it was just really cool to share that with her.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so another reason we have not been back for a few weeks, and I've been very quiet about this on Twitter and social media, and mainly not to worry my own friends and family, and because I knew I was fine for the most part. But I'm basically 99% sure, and my doctor was, to the point where he's like, don't even bother getting tested, just stay home, that I actually did get coronavirus, and I don't think it was from PAX. Because I figured if I would have gotten it, you and Kyle would have been sick.
Yeah, and here I am, actually, we're now a month into, I think, at least the state isolation, or no, I should say the national emergency, because I think the state, us here in PA, we didn't get issued until, I think they started ramping things up in the last week of March.
Yeah, it was the last week of March.
I want to say April 1st was the, or somewhere around that time was the official, we're shut down.
Yeah, that
except
was...
for, life essential, essentially.
Yep, no, and totally agree. And especially with, Kyle and I spooning each night, I figured he'd have been sick. So,
I agree. The fact that neither of us got sick, it's okay, it definitely didn't come from PAX, so, it could have just, you picked it up who knows where.
99% sure it was my daughter was probably carrying it from somebody in school, although I feel like my wife had some minor symptoms of it as well, but what really tripped me out, aside from having, a cough, and for me it was lack of energy, I also, either at the same time or maybe it was part of it, I also had a really nasty sinus infection, and I know there was misinformation, if you have that, you don't have coronavirus, and my doctor was like, no, that's actually complete bullshit, it's just not... not a common symptom of coronavirus, but you can absolutely have something like that and coronavirus. What tipped me off was about, I'd say, 4 days into it, And this wasn't a known symptom at the time, but I had lost my sense of smell. And
yeah, like I was reading up on this, like apparently, and maybe this kind of backs this up a little bit. Like if you lose your sense of smell and or taste, that you're in a not I don't want to say immune, but I forget the exact term that the article used, but basically you're in a rung that basically is able to fight the virus actually very, very well. So
right,
I'm guessing, especially the fact that you're not in the hospital like on a breather, it's like you're in the class because it's like apparently that's a symptom of people who you'll get it, but you'll be able to fight it off kind of naturally. Like it'll suck for sure, but you won't be hospitalized as a result. Yeah,
I mean it totally sucked. Not that I was very sick. I actually had not a lot of energy. I think that was the worst part. Obviously for me it was just, staying away from my wife and daughters as much as I could, living in the same house. We've been, sanitizing and washing like crazy. But for me, and the trippy thing was, like 2 days after I had lost my sense of smell was when I saw the headline on CNN, if you lost your sense of smell, this is another indicator. I was like, oh, fuck, great. But it's really weird. Like, you always have those conversations with somebody in your life where it's like, oh, if you could lose any of your 5 senses, what would it be? And right. One thing that people don't really take into account is 2 things. You use your sense of smell way more than you think you do, especially if you have children. I swear I wish I was kidding. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. But you also lose a big portion of your sense of taste. You can still taste. Yeah. You can still taste things, but there are many, 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 many subtleties that your sense of smell will actually enhance with your sense of taste that I lost. And I'm somebody that, if you've listened to this long enough, I'm a chubby boy and I'm very into my food and trying different things. And it was really weird where a lot of things
the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of things were tasting the same. And that really tripped me out. And, but
yeah, not the Corona thing, but like for me, like, I would say frequently, but I'm most often impacted by like spring allergies, things like that, sure. And any kind of sinus stuff. I'm like somehow sensitive to it. Not like it won't set me off like instantly, but more often than not, like when like it gets really bad, that's exactly what happens. Like I'll lose my sense of taste and smell, and like I can tell when it's coming back because everything will go from like tasting like weird cardboard to like completely opposite.
Yeah, it's actually
like
been awesome.
It's like taking one of those, you remember those
the flavor trippers?
Yeah, the flavor tabs or whatever. Like actually, that actually made things like taste fun and it was like hilarious.
That was so cool.
Imagine like it's the opposite, where it just makes things taste like crap. It's like that's what happens. It's like, oh man, I just want to get over this.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I was a girl I was dating at the time. She made like a Reuben dip and it tasted like carrots and throw up when you took the flavor tripping tab. Yeah, there's these tabs made with I think it was like miracle fruit.
Yeah, so they had that, yeah.
And you could get them off ThinkGeek, and it basically reverses your sense of taste to where sour tastes sweet. So like lemon juice tasted like glazed donuts and shit. It was really cool. But yeah, so what was really shitty about this was like I have my 3rd child is still very young. She's still wearing diapers. And obviously, when she's crying in the middle of the night and I'm stumbling into her room half asleep, I had to bring my phone with me so I could have the light. Because literally, you know what you're in for the second you walk in the room.
Are we talking the duty bomb? Or?
Yeah, it's like, are we talking
just a little fussy?
Do I need a bag and a shit ton of wipies, or just a wipey and a fresh diaper? And it was really weird. Like, I would wake up every morning. Like, I started getting paranoid because it took about 2 weeks for my sense of smell to come back. And I didn't even realize it. I'll get into that in a second. But, like, I would wake up every morning, go down to the bathroom, do my thing, brush my teeth, and we have a bottle, in our bathroom cabinet of isopropyl alcohol. And I would take the cap off, and I would smell it. And I would literally smell absolutely nothing. I wouldn't get a sting in my nose, like no sting. Like normally you smell a bottle of isopropyl alcohol up close, you get a little pokey in your nose, like nothing. Like it was not even there. So it was really scary because I'm sitting there going, like I can't smell smoke if there's a fire. I can't smell chemicals, like if there's some kind of hazardous, whatever cleaning thing mixing together that I don't know about under my sink, whatever. And it was really, really kind of tripping me out for a while. But literally about early last week, went in the bathroom, took a dump, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's back.
It smells like shit.
I smell my own dookies. So, yeah, I mean, that I did have the cough and everything, but I would say the lack of energy and the loss of my sense of smell is probably the worst of it for me. Luckily, nobody here really came down with anything serious.
That's good.
Yeah, so we're fine. We've been, isolating, so it's not like any of our family has gotten sick. But, yeah, I mean, that was really one of the reasons I hadn't really been pushing to record for the past couple weeks, because I was, still coughing up along on occasion, and I didn't want to be, muting, hacking, forgetting to mute, and and energy-wise, I was just not at my best. So that's a big reason of why we were out. But we'll go on a happier note. Nick, what have you been doing? What have you been playing during this wonderful lockdown that we've been preparing our whole lives for to just stay inside and play video games?
Well, I've been getting into Half-Life Alyx in VR. That has been an absolute blast. Like, seriously, I'd say, like, the best, if not, number one in terms of VR games. It's definitely worth checking out if you have a VR device. Like this is the game. It's a must-have, absolute must-have to play. It's a long game. That's the other thing. Like if anyone who's played VR games knows that almost none of the VR games are ever long. You're talking 3, maybe 6 hours ish.
Get Asgard's Wrath, brother.
Is that a long game? Okay,
yeah, it's a full scale RPG. It's fucking dope. It's great.
Excellent. Yeah. Like there are like exceptions to the rule that are like really.
I would say that's the only one I know of.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think I have to check my Steam account and see how long I've actually been playing it. I'm curious now. But yeah, like I think it's supposed to be average anywhere from 15 to like maybe 20 hours ish. So it's well worth the price of admission. I think it's a great third edition to the Half-Life saga. Okay, so I've been playing it for 14 hours right now, and
nice.
I'm pretty sure I'm closing in on the end. It's getting exciting. Like it's a great story, like great mechanics to it.
Well, that's what I hear. Ooh. I have it too. I haven't played.
Yeah, like they've absolutely like you can tell they've put thought into this. Like it doesn't feel like cheap gimmicks or anything like that. Like everything's been thought through in terms of like how best to make this a really great VR experience. And everything from like I see most of the physics options in terms of in some VR games where I'm like tossing something like you pick up a crate and you like toss it, or even better like a soup can or something. Mm-hmm. And if you really chuck it like a baseball, you expect to like go way down the hallway. Well, almost every game that I've played, to date, it has something like that. It's like great. It just drops at your feet, or it just like goes like 1 foot.
Yeah, it's just not there.
Yeah, it's like okay, there's no like momentum behind it. Like, but like you put some weight behind like throwing something in Alyx, like it is going down the hallway. Like
dope.
like you're able to chuck grenades, you're able to chuck just things around, and I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's going exactly where I really wanted to go, like in how I actioned it.
No shit.
Yeah, it really, really well done. I'm playing on the HTC Vive, so results may vary, and I know like I think they more or less the view is like HTC Vive hand controllers are like the low ones on the totem pole, so to speak. I am tempted maybe to pick up like some Valve Index ones, because those you actually you can has independent finger controls.
Oh,
so and Half-Life Alyx is like set up for that, so you actually can control each one of your fingers. Not that you necessarily need that level of detail,
but the options there.
it's one of the one of those cool things.
Like immersive. Yeah.
The enemies are great. There's there's definitely portions that are like absolutely terrifying, and it's usually like the head crab section. It's like all the
that's what my boy Glovebox was saying on Bad Fodder Figures. He's like, when you're playing and the face suckers jump on your face, he goes, they're jumping on your fucking face in this.
They absolutely are. It's like that's the terrifying portion, and then it gets into like the really action pack where you're fighting the Combine. From Half-Life 2, and it's just like then it turns out kind of a straight shoot 'em up, and the fact that you can actively use cover, and depending on the upgrades you get to your weapons, like eventually, like I'd say, like get like a laser pointer. So basically, you can kind of like juke them a little bit, and like let's say you're hiding behind a pillar, you can look around one end, have your gun go out around the other, and use a laser pointer, like like headshot from around the corner type of thing. And it's awesome. It's great. It's like little things like that.
You might have me playing this tonight. I have it. It's all installed.
Awesome. There you go. It's definitely worth checking out. And it had total options. Like like for me, I say I have to use teleport. I was eager to see like could I use I don't know what they call the motion, but basically
like smooth motion.
Smooth motion, yeah. I was hoping like maybe like because like the frame rate's like absolutely fantastic, like completely optimized. Obviously, it's designed for VR, but I was thinking like okay, maybe they built it just right, and I can use smooth motion. But I could feel that little twinge of motion sickness. Like I don't know, it just somehow sets me off in VR. So it's like nope, I gotta go teleport. So fortunately.
No, I was just going to say, I think you and I are of the same ilk where it's like, I don't think that's going to work well for us until there's like a 360-degree like treadmill-esque thing that we're walking on to where the rest of our body in equilibrium actually thinks we're moving. I'm with you on that.
I'm convinced, like, if we get like Ready Player One like style,
exactly.
The treadmill or whatever, smooth motion is gonna be rough for us. I don't know. Like it doesn't like it's. I can feel it twinge, and I know that if I feel it twinge, like it's gonna build up over time. Like
exactly,
it's like like I know I'm gonna be dying in 30 minutes.
Nope. Start option up. There we go. Snip, snap, done.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I love the fact that again that it's in there, and like every VR game that actively puts that in. I always do appreciate the fact that it's like, yes, it's awesome. A little immersion breaking, but thank goodness they put something like that in, because like if you're forced into a smooth motion, because that was one of the reasons I actually didn't pick up Boneworks quite yet, because I think
I don't know. Like last I checked, they don't. But that was months ago.
That was like one of the reviews I saw. Was like they don't, like they actively said like, no, we're gonna make this full immersion, and like no teleport. I'm like, well, that's gonna be a hard pass for me, because it's gonna set me off. I'm gonna be able to only play this thing like 30 minutes in the shot, and then like spend hours just getting out of
sharding in the bathroom.
The puke zone.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm with you, brother. I'm glad they offered that. That's one of the reasons I kind of held off, to be honest with you, because I wasn't sure if that was an option. I'd say it was a small reason. Mainly, you'll find out when it comes to what I've been playing. Like, I can't get enough of these two games, but we'll get there.
But, so that's the big one. I think I'll comment, and you can comment on this too, since we were able to play a little bit together. Predator Hunting Grounds. We played that about, was it 2 weeks ago now, I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago they did their play test.
Yeah, so like we're a little past the halfway point, because I think next week is when it comes out.
Yeah, it comes out the 24th. It was
looking forward to this.
Last weekend in March.
Yes, exactly. Predator Hunting Grounds looks, it looks and play. Well, I say it plays as good as it looks once we got into a game. Yeah. Now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were able to play Sunday. Like I ended up playing all weekend long.
I tried to play Sunday.
Okay.
Or no, when did we play? We played Friday.
We played Friday night. Like
we played Friday night,
kind of opening night,
and that was great. Like it took us a little while to get into a game. I tried playing Saturday with the boys from Bad Fodder Figures. It was going to be me, Mike, Matt. I think Jay was with us, and there were 5 of us basically, and that right off the bat was a problem. because you can only play with yourself and up to 3 of your friends. You can't have 5 people and one person plays the monster because they don't want people gaming the system. I get it. I understand it. Because it's like Dead by Daylight, where there's a perk system and shit that you can get, the more you play and the better you do, you can unlock stuff.
Yeah. So now you can set up a private match. Like, you are able to do that.
Okay. We couldn't get that to work.
Yeah. So it was available. It was kind of like, it was weird. You kind of had to figure out how to do it correctly. It was a little weird. The thing is, you had to disband your group.
Party, yeah.
Someone would start it up and then invite people in, and then you could do your private match. But
right,
that point,
we
it's like,
did that.
You can't do 5 people in the main system and level up your weapons. Otherwise, it's gonna be a lot of potential cheating for that.
Oh yeah,
but
and we tried. We had a lot of trouble on Saturday, to the point where we all just said fuck it and walked away. And I was sad because I know the boys over there, and I know they would really, really enjoy this game. I will say, in agreement 1,000% with Nick. We loved it at PAX, and when we got in and we were playing with it, with the group that we had, it's a fucking ball. That game is so much fun. I wound up pre-ordering it test weekend, just because I knew how much fun I already had with it. When we played it at PAX, confirmed it's much fun and looked even better, which was cool. It looked good at PAX, but it looked much better.
I think there were some definite improvements, and the thing is, most of the connection, I say connection issues because for those who didn't play or aren't up on this, I will say the beta weekend that they had 2 weeks ago was a little rough in terms of getting groups together. You'd be waiting 5-10 minutes, sometimes even longer, just to have the matchmaker queue you up and get into it. And it is cross server. So it does play. You do play with PS4 players and PC players alike.
I just think they got overwhelmed. I don't think they thought they'd have as much.
I agree. I think that's exactly what happened. The system just got totally hammered, and it just kind of gave up. Now the thing is, they actually, whatever they were doing, they fixed it by Sunday, because by Sunday you were getting into matches instantly. The matches were full, so that was another thing. Sometimes you get into a match and it'll be just your small group of 2 or 3 maybe. It would fail to give you that 4th player. Sometimes they wouldn't give you a predator.
Right.
But whatever they did Sunday, they actually had it all ironed out, and you could actually get into matches relatively fast. So it gave me a little more confidence. Okay, yeah, it's definitely the fact that it got hammered, and either they fixed it or they were able to spin up enough matchmaking servers or whatever on the back end to get it fixed. So hopefully they kind of learn from that, and we get hopefully a smooth launch next week. But I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
I was going to say, based on the people we got to talk to at PAX, I think there's a lot of passion in Ilphonic behind this game. It shows in the gameplay, and I think based on what you're saying, they really scrambled to get their shit together Sunday. I do not regret buying it already. I cannot wait to play this game again. It is incredibly fun once you get in the game. Even if I wasn't playing with Nick and people I knew, it's still really fun.
Oh yeah, I did some of the Predator, and I feel when you're on the fire team, that's the best of I almost feel you got to make sure you got some friends or something, because that's where it's you're just so you gel, and you're just we're look at the trees and shoot everything, and
son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. Got you pushing too many pencils at the CIA. But then when you're solo or whatever, it's do the Predator, because holy crap, is that fun to hunt people.
Especially when you get the hang of going through the trees and shit. I played the Predator for one match. I want to say it was Saturday. I just played solo to play a little bit more when I had some time, and that is just wicked fun. It's gonna be a good game. I think as long as they have learned from test weekend, they get enough resources on the server infrastructure to have a smooth launch day, I think this game will do very well. It's just a solid game, and I think it actually plays in their favor that they really haven't been in my opinion, from a marketing standpoint, pushing this game really hard. I mean, I don't know about you, but when we went to PAX, that was the first time I'd heard of it. And
well, I think I want to say I saw it somewhere. I don't think it was like an E3 or something, but it came up on my radar ever so briefly. It's like, oh, someone's making a Predator game. Like, oh, okay. And
right.
then I completely forgot about it. And it wasn't until we met those people at the screening that they're like, oh yeah, there's a Predator game. It's like, Predator game, what?
And then like we go play it, and like, yeah, it's coming out in April. The guys, I was like, oh fuck, all right. But yeah, keep it on the radar. I really think when you start to play this game, you're really going to enjoy it. If you like the 4v1 games, I think this one takes a really unique approach to it. Like, Dead by Daylight's fun, but it's literally just you and your friends versus the monster. I think this game really mixes it up with the NPC commandos as well. So it's like you have the Predator to worry about, and then you have the NPCs to worry about, which ain't nothing to fuck with either. So it's good. It's really good. And I cannot wait to play it. So I'm glad you brought that up, man. Like, it's a week away. I think, did I put it down here? I didn't put it down here, but we'll... that's an early release highlight. Predator Hunting Grounds releases next week. Next Friday, actually. So pick that up. It's cheap, too. It's like $29. It's
so I think it's a little misnomer. You probably haven't used your Epic coupon yet, have you?
No. Why?
Yeah, so I've used mine, and the regular price is actually $40. So if you're on PC, you can only get it through the Epic Gaming Store right now. There's no schedule, I think, for like a Steam release at this point. But if you've never used your Epic Gaming Store, you're going to get 10% off. So it'll knock it down to around, like, I think $30 or so. But if you've already used it, then it's going to be the regular price around 40. So.
All right, yeah, you're right. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, when I bought it, it was 30. I don't know what the fuck I did. But I bought Epic Games before. Maybe it was $39 and I just didn't realize it, didn't care. That's always a possibility.
But yeah, like I agree with you. Like, I think it's still worth worth the price of admission. I am eager to see, like, do they have a roadmap? Like, are we going to see other maps? Are we going to see kind of like Predator 2 city maps? Or are we going to see other things from the other Predator movies? There's the one with Adrian Brody. Like, are we going to get on the alien planet?
Oh, that'd be dope.
See, like, the alien dogs or something like that. I think that would be badass.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I think if this game does well, sky's the limit. And I will say, I think that they have all the appropriate building blocks in place for that to happen. So, yeah, man, I'm just as stoked as you are. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to next Friday, and we'll have to get a few games going.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll even pick it up on PlayStation. We'll have Am join us, too. But, yeah, if I can tear her away from Animal Crossing.
Yes.
She's loving that, man. I love seeing my wife get into games, and she just really discovered and appreciated. We've had a Switch for a while. But she has now come to fully appreciate that she can take that thing around the house and play her Animal Crossing. So, like, we'll be sitting and, like, watching a Netflix show, and I'll just see her, fucking beating down Tom Nook with the loan payments. And, yeah, she's really enjoying it, and I'm happy that, like, she's got a game she's really, really into. But as far as me, so I have been completely hooked on 2 games to the point of I had Final Fantasy VII Remake pre-ordered for, like, months. I couldn't wait to play it. And now it's like, well, it's that Mistress I got a chance to play around with. And now I'm like, all right, you're going to have to wait till I'm done with the other 2. So I'm hooked on 2 things right now, really hardcore. The first is Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord.
Ah, yeah.
That released 2 weeks ago, about, on PC.
I think so, yeah. Just about, yeah.
It's early access right now, but I would say it's in much better shape than the Mountain Blade 1.0 release from the first game. It's got its quirks, it's got its bugs, but there has literally, I'm pretty sure, like 100% been a patch every day to address, like, critical bugs or just bugs in general. I would say from my own play experience, I really haven't hit anything that has taken me out of it or pissed me off. There's 2 features that they have in there that annoyed me so much, and apparently I wasn't the only one. I went on ModDB, and there's 2 mods to get rid of it completely, which was awesome. And for anybody that's interested in playing it, I recommend these 2. There's a mod to have like X amount of troops, if you have this many troops, follow you to clear out bandit hideouts, which you actually have to do for a main quest. Otherwise, it's like you and 5 other guys versus 30 bandits, and it's really fucking stupid. And unless you're really, really good, you're just going to get stomped. And the other mod I have, like, they have this stupid... They have a really cool crafting system. Nothing you can get rich off of, but it's just a cool way to customize weapons and name them for yourself or your companions. And there's tons and tons of things. Like, each component's customizable, and it's really great. But in order to do that, you got to build up your smithing skills, and you got to smelt stuff down. And you can only do, like, X amount of actions per day, and it's like, oh, you need to rest before you can smith further. And it's really fucking stupid, and it's an artificial, like, gatekeep to prolong that portion of the game. And there's a mod that just gets rid of that and makes it fun, and you're off to the races. Other than that, I have no complaints. It's a really fun game. It lets you kind of start out small. You get a small clan, a couple of followers, and you do some main quests, and you build up your renown. It's very similar to the other Mount and Blade games in that respect. But it looks fantastic. It plays great. It's one of those games, like, if you wanted to, like, have, like, a Braveheart / Game of Thrones experience where it's you and your 200-person army against another, 300-person army, and you're just charging a battlefield or storming a castle with siege towers and battering rams and siege ladders. You could do that, and you're controlling your character alone. You order your troops to charge and hope for the fucking best, and the AI isn't the greatest, but it's better than some stuff I've seen. And I'm having so much fun with that game. Like I said, it's been out for 2 weeks. This will give you an indicator of how much I don't really sleep. And I have 46 hours into this game already.
Oh, man.
It's a fantastic game. If you like... and the setting is basically a fictitious world, but it basically mirrors a sort of fall of the Roman Empire. Names are different, but the cultures are very similar. You have, like, the Northern Empire, the Southern Empire, Western and Eastern, and they each have Romanesque type units, but some slight differences. And then you have your Battanians, which are like your Britannians, Flandians, which are like your Norse, and then you have your what are they? Starts with an S, but they're basically like, not your Norse. The Vlandians are like your Denmark, Vikings, your Swedish. Thank you, Scandinavians.
Okay.
Whereas it starts with an S, but they're basically like your Norwegian Vikings, like the Northern Viking tribes. Vlandians are more like the Visigoths, the barbarians that came down to burn the shit out of Rome. And then the other ones are your Vikings and Sea Raiders. And then there's your Eastern tribes, like your kind of like the Mongol tribes. And then there's the Southern, the Aserai, which are more like your Middle Eastern, Southern cultures in that respect. And it's fantastic. It basically mirrors the splintering of the Roman Empire in the beginning. And you basically choose which tribe you're from. And you start doing quests to build your clan's renown and eventually, like, reassemble this banner. And I don't want to, like, go into too many spoilers, but, then you can get to make the choice, do you support the Empire or do you carve out your own? Like, it's just really... Or, if you want to hail from, one of the non-imperial countries, do you want to finally fucking take your place in the world? It's just great. Like, it takes what made Mount and Blade 1 and Warband so much fun, and that was the immersive game, or the emergent gameplay potential, and in my opinion amplifies that up to about 100. As much as you might have seen if you're on the Savepoint, like Luke has his complaints about it, Lucas, but he's been playing it just about as much as I have, and he's still playing it. and that should give you an indicator that this game is pretty goddamn solid, and it's a lot of fun. So if you remotely enjoyed Mountain Blade Warband, I highly recommend you pick up Bannerlord. It's a fantastic game. It's worth every penny. Like I said, it's 2 weeks old, and I've got over 40 hours into it. And I can't wait to play it again. Like, I'm ready to just, like, go play it now, so it's great. The other game that has taken up the majority of my time is a PS4 game called Persona 5 Royal. It's kind of a director's cut edition of Persona 5, which came out a couple of years ago on PlayStation for lots of extra content, from what I understand. Like, I think the original had maybe 60 hours of gameplay. This has, apparently, if you do like all the side quests and little shit, it's like 120. And, you know, normally I see stuff like that, and it's like, I got kids, I don't have time to play a game that long. But the story is awesome. The characters are awesome. The graphics are awesome. The mechanics are so cool. And it was something I kind of avoided playing for a long time because it was like I never picked up the Persona 5 just because I was like, it's a game where you're in high school and then you're like fighting demons at night. And I'm like, that sounds so lame, and I have not been in school for a long time, and I just don't think I could relate to it. And then a reviewer on GameSpot gave it a 10 out of 10. And I was like, shit, alright. So I'm reading the review, and this person had the same perspective I did. Like, they're around my age. We haven't been in high school in over 20 years. And it's like, no, it's like this person played the original Persona 5 and got this again, you know, this director's cut, because they just could not get enough of it. And now I see why. I probably got about the same amount of hours into that game as well. It's kind of got like it's like a mix of Pokemon. Like, have you ever played oh Christ, Shin Megami Tensei? I think is the name of the series that it's from. Basically, there's like these personas, which are like demons. You kind of awaken one inside yourself out of crisis if you're a certain type of person. Like, you're under stress, and this happens, and this thing awakens. But your character's special in the sense that they're not restricted to just one. And there's like a cognitive realm, and then a real, you know, the reality realm. And you go into the cognitive realm for a lot of for all the fights with the demons and stuff. And like, to not give away too many spoilers, but the first chapter is basically like, you're in high school, and this gym teacher, who is like an Olympic champion, yada yada yada, keeps busting your balls, and he's like a real creep, and like, it's really obvious, like, he's sexually assaulting a lot of the girls at school, but nobody's doing anything because he's, you know, super sports ball guy, and like, you and your friends are basically facing expulsion, and initially you're on your own, and you start like phasing and like understand, like, you walk into this cognitive world basically with a friend of yours at school, and it turns into this thing where you can actually not only have one persona but capture others. So as you're fighting, everything you fight in this cognitive realm are other personas, and you can wear them down and then talk to them, and then it's like this whole thing where you can say certain responses. Then you basically convince them, and you can capture them, and then you can use them. It's like a Pokemon kind of thing where, you know, you want to try to catch them all. But then there's like a mechanic where you can then, you know, go to this other realm where you execute them, which basically you take two, you execute them, and then they combine as they're dying to form a new persona. Like, it sounds so stupid, but when you actually play it, it is an insane amount of fun. It's one of the most original things I've played in a long time, and the mechanics of the whole game, I just can't get enough of it. Like, it's just like, you have so many things you need to do, but you're limited to time in a day, and you really have to choose things carefully. And then you still have to worry about, like, school on top of it, and, like, you're in class, and you'll be falling asleep, and the teacher will call on you and ask you, like, a real-world question. and I'm dumb. No, I'm not dumb. I just haven't been in school in a while, and I forgot fucking Pythagorean's theorem and other shit. So I'm like, I'm on my phone fucking Googling. I'm like, oh, there's the answer. And like, you'll answer it right, and you'll get a bonus to your intelligence, and that'll affect like the dialogue you could say to your friends, and then your bond with your friends will influence how powerful their stuff gets and how powerful your stuff can grow. It's just a really, really in-depth, really cool game, and like, I would recommend doing the same thing I did. Read the GameSpot review and see if this sounds like something that will remotely interest you, and then give it a real shot. Because I think you'll really, really enjoy it. Like, I'm enjoying it so much that, like I hinted at the beginning of this discussion, I loved Final Fantasy VII. Could not wait for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Bought Final Fantasy VII Remake. I played it for about an hour, and I enjoyed it, but I was just like, I gotta go finish this. Like, I can't stop. I can't stop thinking about this fucking game. So it's like, I gotta go play it, and I gotta go finish Persona 5, and then I'll get to Final Fantasy VII Remake. But that's really cool too, from what I played so far. But right now, Persona 5 and Bannerlord basically have my complete attention between the two of them, and they're both really incredible, solid games. So. Yeah, did you play Bannerlord, or not Bannerlord, Warband, Nick? Mountain Blade Warband?
No, I think I've watched some streams and, you know, seen others playing it. It looked pretty cool. I just never fully got into it myself.
Okay, yeah, I highly recommend checking out Bannerlord. There was a cool, it didn't get higher ratings, but I played a lot of it and I really enjoyed it. But somebody took the Mountain Blade Warband engine and made a pirate game called Blood and Gold Caribbean.
Oh, really?
And it's fun. I enjoy it. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's probably it's probably the closest thing to Sid Meier's Pirates since Sid Meier's Pirates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game. So Blood and Gold Caribbean is definitely worth a look. But yeah, Bannerlord is fucking solid. I highly recommend playing it. Like, it's got quirks, it's got bugs, it's early access, but compared to other early access titles I've played, like, I don't remember the last early access game I sunk 42 hours in 2 weeks. So, I mean, that'll say something right there. But, alright. Let's move on to the release highlights. Basically, since we've talked, a lot of stuff has come out and stuff is coming out. We've mentioned Final Fantasy VII Remake. That is killing it. I'm hearing great things pretty much across the board. Some common feedback is basically that, there is some stuff that does feel artificially inflated, where they, kind of took, like, a couple frames out of a, CG movie and expanded upon it, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work so much. From what I played of it, the combat is very challenging, and a lot of flashy boom boom bing bang lights makes it a little confusing for someone like me. I'm just getting old maybe and not as fast as I used to be. But it's challenging. I found the combat to be challenging. But we'll see. I'll play it till I beat it. I'm sure. Like I said, I love the original. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake is out. It's killing it. Resident Evil 3. The remake of that dropped recently, or I guess towards the beginning of the month. That's doing great, looks great. Half-Life Alyx, as Nick said, is pretty much killing it. One of my coworkers actually worked with the producer of that game, and was just saying how happy he is to see it doing well, and that he's not surprised. Like, there's just a ton of talent behind that game, and I feel like that game is probably now the VR, system seller. I would hope so. Especially with what you're saying, Nick, where it really feels like the Half-Life 3 in a sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That people were waiting for. So, hopefully that will push the platform further. Next week, we got Predator coming out. We've got Trials of Mana coming out, which is Seiken Densetsu 3, Secret of Mana 3. So that's getting its first release, like remake, HD, remaster, good shit. 2 weeks from now, we've got Streets of Rage 4 hitting, which I know Kyle would be super giddy about. He'd be talking that shit up, I'm sure, if he were here. Nick, the next one's all yours because I have zero fucking interest. No, I'm only kidding.
And like an apocalyptic zombie in the COVID apocalypse, a game that refuses to die.
What, Anthem?
No, Fallout 76 apparently.
Oh, that's right. Anthem's dead.
It's still trucking along. It recently released Wastelanders. I haven't jumped in myself. I still feel very burned by what they pulled.
Oh yeah,
in basically last year. I mean, we're well, a year plus now, which I think also still speaks to the fact that it's over a year later, year and a quarter later, essentially, they finally put in NPCs. And from people I've talked to who've checked it out, and and some gaming friends and whatnot, is like they're basically saying like it's starting to feel like a Fallout game. And it's like, wow. It's like one in a good sense, like, okay, they're still trucking along, they're still doing stuff with it, but at the same time, it's still sad. It's so sad that the NPC should have been in the first place. Like I their opening statement was like, oh, there'll be players and the players will provide content. I should have known from the beginning, because I feel like every time a game has said that, like, that's an instant red flag to me. It's like, okay,
what I hated about what was it, Conan something or other? I fucking hated that.
What, like Conan Exiles, I think?
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah. There's like minimal stuff there. Survival stuff, like, yeah, players can provide stuff. Like, yeah, you have Conan Exiles, you have Rust, even potentially Ark, but really the game will thrive when you actually put something for the players to work towards. Whether even in Exiles, there is dungeons that you can go into, so there is content to kind of
there is content.
yeah. No, I think 76 had quote unquote dungeons, but I mean they were sad. They were really sad. And so I don't know. Maybe I'll download it. I'm sure I'll regret it or something. Just like maybe I'll download it and check it out again. But I don't know. I still feel really burned, and kind of refuse to install 70. Like previous Fallouts, sure, yeah. Maybe I'll play those at some point. Not really keen on playing those right now. It left a sour taste in my mouth. But it's just like, man, it's like I don't know if I can go back.
All right, Nick, that's your homework for the next episode. I want you to torture yourself. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to be too busy playing Predator.
Yeah, me too. Oh God, what a train!
But it's like maybe they'll pull their heads out of their ass type of thing, and they'll pull kind of a No Man's Sky, which again also still going along. Apparently they had
not only that,
expansion
it's killing
too.
it. Not only that, it's absolutely killing
exosuits. I haven't been able to check that out either, but it's like, oh, that sounds pretty. It's always like, like I stuck my head in, I don't know, 6 months ago now, when they released like the fleet carrier stuff, and like, yeah, totally different game, plays awesomely, does decent on VR. I even tried it in VR. I feel like the space ship stuff does better in VR. The ground stuff is a little wonky, but yeah, I mean, it's still trucking along. So it's like, man, like I will give them that. It's like I give them kudos. Both No Man's Sky, even Fallout. It's like okay, you're at least moving forward.
Yeah, they're not abandoning it. I can respect
that, but that doesn't mean I forgive you for the damage you've done.
Yeah, no, they're not abandoning it. Like, and even in a sense, No Man's Sky could kind of get away with it, because like even the developer was like, I never said it would do that. Kotaku did. Like,
I will agree with, like, No Man's Sky was very much a case of I think they didn't say it wasn't, but they didn't kind of refute people's expectations and kind of bring it back under control. I think they kind of let everyone's imagination kind of run wild and not really correct them.
And they've admitted to that. They've admitted to that.
Because if you look at the stuff, they never said that these specific things would be in. It was just like they never refuted it when asked about it, and it kind of give coy answers. But when it came to
whereas
Fallout 76,
Todd Howard goes out at E3 and he's like, custom designed engine unlike anything
he's like, no,
ever
they were
seen.
Flat out lies.
Like, no, this is just the Fallout 4 engine. But nice try.
Like, in the cash grab they did, I think it was like 6 months in
canvas
with the whole
bags.
Yeah. And so it was supposedly like I was seeing a thing, and Code Carnage apparently logged in, and he's like, "What happened to all my stuff? I had like all this junk and supplies and stuff stored up." And apparently there was a bug at some point that like trashed everyone's inventories. So it's like you may not have anything if you happen to log in and have stuff piled up. It's like, oh man, it's
wow, that explains a lot. I love Co. Like he was saying, oh, we're gonna check out, go back and check out Wastelanders this week, and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was still gonna be doing that tonight. And I saw his thing. He's like, oh, today we're gonna do X4 and more Cozy Rimworld tonight. I was like, oh, well, I guess Wasteland didn't work out.
That didn't last long. It's like, speaks volumes. It's like, yeah. I'm again. I think he mentioned like, yeah, maybe I'll jump back into it, kind of do 100s, 0 to hero type of thing. But it's like, I don't know. Yeah, when you have so many problems and like people even come back expecting from having played it earlier to have stuff, and suddenly it's gone. Like, and not like they took it away because like you were cheating, but like gone because there was some game-breaking bug that just wiped everything. And I kind of remember that. Like, I think there was like I remember there was a junk bug. I think it was around the time they had the whole cash grab thing where it's like, oh, you have premium time or whatever, and it's like it was like depleting people's like junk storage or whatever. And it's like, wow, it's like, yeah, and that's part of like it still leaves that bad taste in the mouth just from that, as well as just like everything from launch. And it's just like, it's like I don't know if I can support it, because even though I have it, I've already paid for it, and it's like it's essentially quote unquote free. At this stage for me to play Wastelanders, it's still kind of giving it the attention. I know they look at downloads like, oh, our downloads are like, no, I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
But I digress. Stop being mad. You want to see me mad? That's how I get mad.
Oh hell yeah, man! Like, no, I follow you. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Let's move on to news. Obviously, COVID-19 continues. I've kind of given my recap, but how's everybody in your family doing, man? Everybody good? You good?
Yeah, they're doing good. We FaceTime with everybody, every weekend. And if we can't get the whole family, we at least talk with the parents, and they're doing good. They're doing their social distancing and just self-isolating in the house and whatnot. And I know my brothers who are live closer in the valley are able to they did a few grocery runs for them, so they're doing good. They're hanging on, so that's always good to see.
I'm happy to hear that. I've been thinking about them a lot, and some other people, that I know and I'm close to, so I'm very glad to hear they're okay and dealing with this as well as they can. I mean, the same here. Obviously the grandparents miss the kids, but we're FaceTiming, as much as we can, and
that's good. Yeah, like, I mean, I kind of look at it in retrospect. It's like it's a curious state of things where it's like, I mean, we do live in interesting times, but the fact that we have all this, technology, I say infrastructure, obviously, some is a little weaker than others, but
sure.
the fact that we have all this stuff to where like we have FaceTime, where we can have, it's more than just phone calls. It's like we can actually, digitally at least see each other and still interact, stay close. Yeah. And be able to maintain this stuff, because I mean, you think like if this had happened, let's say like back in like the 80s or something.
I was saying even the 80s, where it's like you'd have a phone attached to a wall that you could hear somebody on the other end of.
Yeah,
like that's it. That's what you got. You don't have email. You don't have any of that. So we do live in a very lucky age in that sense, where I think we can maintain these connections pretty well. Actually, one of the most fascinating things that has come out of this that I'm seeing more and more pictures of, you've seen it at my house, fucking Day After Tomorrow, with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. The movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you remember at the end where they're on the space station and they're looking down and they're like, "My God, have you ever seen it look so clear?" And I'm starting to see pictures coming from space, coming from LA, coming from China. Like the Venice canals, where
yeah. Like they were so still, like you can see the fish, they can see the bottom of the canals. Like it's like it's not supposed to be dirty. It's just like the fact that boats are constantly traveling everywhere. It just churns up all the sediment.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just amazing to see when humanity stops their regular bullshit for 2 weeks, like, how much of an impact it has on the planet itself, right down to the air we breathe. I think that has been very, very fascinating to see. I highly recommend, like, check out some pictures from satellite, from the space station over the past 2 weeks. It's very, very interesting. But yeah, I mean, everybody's doing what they can, and obviously we send our best out to everybody right now. We're all dealing with this in some way, shape, or form, and I hope you all have everything you need, necessity-wise and connection-wise, and I hope everybody's doing as good as they possibly can. On other notes, on more gaming fronts, and I think we saw this coming over the past couple weeks, PS5 is still planning to release over the holiday season. The supply might be more limited than, say, the PS4 was. I seem to feel like that's optimistic. I would not be surprised to see a delay. Maybe midsummer. They say there's going to be a delay till spring. I know they want to get that holiday season, but I also know what it takes to manufacture stuff like this, and the amount of man hours you need to do so, even to maintain the automated equipment that does it. And it's just not there right now. People are not working, or they're working from home. So it'll be interesting to see if they still release during the holidays. And I think one thing I didn't include here, I will say real quick, I do want to wish, I think one of the most talented journalists in the gaming industry and the industry that we are a part of, Jason Schreier, announced he's leaving Kotaku. He's been a journalist there for 8 years. I think he joined in 2012.
Really, that long? Wow.
And Jason, in my opinion, I think has probably been one of the most influential journalists of the past 10 years when it comes to gaming. I think, like, if you've heard the terms gaming crunch development, crunch time, he really helped expose that. I mean, if you worked in the industry like I have as a developer, you've known that term for many, many years. But, as somebody who's just played games, you might have heard it, but Jason really helped people, in my opinion, understand what that term meant to the people that were going through the development of it, 100-hour work weeks and stuff like that. And he exposed a lot of that. And I'm seeing articles even as recently as last week that Rockstar Entertainment, who's been relatively notorious for their crunch, is changing. The culture is changing. They're becoming more sensitive to people actually having a life outside of their work. And I think Jason's stories in that regard, from Telltale to Rockstar to every expose that he's basically released on crunch in the past 5 years, has made a really, really positive impact on the industry. And, just personally, as somebody who's been a part of gaming journalism, I've looked up to Jason since he started there. I think he's a really solid journalist, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And I wish you the best of luck. And but that was some recent news off the wire I forgot to include, but really did want to take a minute and just give him a salute and wish him well. Also, once again, just a big thanks to Julia Minamata, the sole developer of the Crimson Diamond, and like, I say that with a chuckle just because I've played their demo. I love it. It's really, really fun. It's going to be a great game. If you enjoyed like the old school, oh god, I can't think of the name of the interpreter now. SCI, the Sierra, I think it's like the Sierra Creative Interpreter, where it was like the typing in Sierra adventure games. It's done in that genre, and the artwork is beautiful. The writing is fantastic, and can't wait for that to release. But we interviewed her on our last episode. If you haven't heard it yet, seriously, go listen to that as soon as you're done here. She was such a great guest, and I just wanted to
absolute treat. Yeah,
just wanted to thank her again. That was really, really fun. And as Nick and I were talking about earlier, check out the YouTube videos that her and Dan Polakar did, where you actually got to sit and be a part of them live streaming, like composing Roland MT32, MIDI tracks for this game the same way that, the musicians at Sierra, like Aubrey Hodges and all them, were composing music for Quest for Glory and other games like that. On the same instrument and the same operating system. Like, if I remember what Julia said to us, like, Dan has gone as far as, like, he's got a Windows 3.11 box so that he can run his, Roland MT32 in the exact same environment so that it's as stable as it was, which, if you saw the clip, like, it even had its problems then. It was just cool to be a part of that. So, again, thank you very much for that. Nick, the next one is yours, and I'm reading about this and I'm getting pissed off. So I'm going to let you handle it.
So I only know about this because I did actually back this particular Kickstarter, and I will preface, it's like, as with any Kickstarter, you don't ever spend any money that you aren't willing to lose.
Caveat emptor: not everybody's going to go to Abbey Road.
Yeah, exactly. So do your research, do your homework. Obviously, like, I don't want to dissuade anyone from not doing like Kickstarter things and whatnot.
Know what you're getting into.
Yeah, exactly. Know what you're getting into. So I had done my research on this, and I felt like, okay, I like the concept. It did have some of the, at least they were advertising some industry veterans. I think at the time they advertised, like, one guy was from SOE, another one, other people from various other studios. So it's like, okay, it wasn't like, fresh off the boat type of like, oh, we're gonna make a game, and like, because like I never back anything like that. Like that's a recipe for like, yeah, you're not gonna get anything. So like, case in point, like, I say case in point, but in terms of doing the research, there was a recent Kickstarter we saw at PAX. One is, if something's at PAX, usually it's okay. Now that being said, they were at PAX East. I don't know, like 3-4 years ago or something like that. They had a booth. I think that was before the Kickstarter room was a thing at PAX. So it's like, it's always a risk, but. Like, the concept that really drew me into this, and this was going to be an MMO, a fantasy MMO, was that your character would age. And so, like, over the course of the game, you would probably have several lifetimes, but you'd have like a family lineage, so to speak, of your characters. Like, oh, that sounds great. That's something very unique. I haven't seen anyone ever do something like that. I think that would be really, really cool, because when you play MMOs, you're basically, outside of like alts or something like that, you're playing a character and they're basically immortal, and you're playing it for, however long you play the game.
And I will just side comment. I followed games back in the past that wanted to do that, like Realms of Torment, which again never came to be. It's an idea that's been floated, and I've never seen it come to fruition. I love the idea. I think it would be brilliant. But, yeah. So I backed it way back in the Kickstarter, and this was back in 20. What was it? 13, I guess it was. I think this was 8 years. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I want to say 8 years sounds about right. It's like 7 or 8 years. So I backed into the Kickstarter, not a lot. Like I think it was I have to look at it specifically, but I think I did like a $70 or $60 package, enough for like, okay, it's a full price game. If I lose it, it's like, okay, big whoop. Followed it for a little bit and then let it fall off my radar. I kind of let the same thing happen with Star Citizen. Granted, Star Citizen actually has a product. It's still an alpha, but but I think it fell off my radar, and then, like I said, I actually went to it was a PAX East they were at, I believe. Went to their booth, and like they had a demo. It was just like a simple jumping in a cave and fighting a spider, and it's like, oh, okay, this is cool. It had kind of a Assassin's Creed feel to it. It actually looked pretty decent. And then it fell off my radar again. Like, they went back and things like I knew from like having followed several other games. Obviously Star Citizen. At the time, like EverQuest Next was still a thing and whatnot. Where it's like, I knew it was going to take time for them to build stuff. So it's like, I'm just going to let it fall off the radar, and when they have something, I'll be able to jump back into it.
Right.
Well, apparently, yeah, after doing a little research at the fact that they spoiler alert, they've closed. The game is done. But over the past years, they actually acquired way more than the Kickstarter. I think got them I think 1 million, something like that. Maybe
it was
a little
like
more.
three, I think it was like 3 million from what I read, but you still need a lot more than that.
Yeah, still a lot more. And so, they did what many other Kickstarters do, where they have their own website, and then you can, buy additional stuff. I mean, again, I keep going back to Star Citizen because they kind of have a similar model, where it's like, you can pledge more stuff, you get things out of it. In the case of Chronicles of Elyria, I know, because I'd always get emails like, like, oh, land sales. Basically, you could buy land. The idea was like, eventually you could have like these kingdoms, and people could become kings or barons, or you could just be just the peasant, or I say the peasant, but like a merc inside the particular area, or you could go to several areas. But I knew through various podcasts and whatnot, like people would acquire land and buy these quote unquote plots that would be in game. And it all seemed fairly reasonable, but now in the hindsight, like with basically the fallout that's happening, like basically they got up to around I think it was $8 to almost $9 million.
Yeah, about $9 million bucks.
Yeah, over time. So it wasn't like they were stagnating or anything like that. Like 8 million's a pretty hefty amount.
That's a damn nice budget. I'm sure. We've talked to Lori and Corey, and they did a hell of a lot more with a hell of a lot less.
Yeah, exactly. And it did bring to my attention because I did basically. Almost a month ago, basically, I think it was the beginning of March. They said, "Oh, we're releasing the alpha." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. We're gonna be able to kind of see what's going on." And I checked it out, and it was like 10 million steps backwards. Like it didn't look anything like what I saw at the PAX demo.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, "Whoa!" And again, you can look up YouTube videos of this.
Yeah, the first thing I see when I type Chronicles of Elyria is Scam MMORPG is dead.
Yeah, and yeah, so from now, kind of watching various other things, and of what players have released of the alpha stuff, like basically the best they can figure, like they slapped this together in Unity like super fast. It looked absolutely horrid. Granted, it's like things in pre-alpha states always look weird. Like a great example is look at Sea of Thieves. They actually they're releasing they're another game still trucking along nicely. They're releasing,
but I would say look at Predator. The build we played at PAX was an alpha, and he said that he's like, this is one of the alpha builds. The test build's going to look much better, and that was great. Like I could have played that like it was. So
yeah,
just putting that out there.
This looked like something out of like N64 graphics type of thing.
Holy shit!
And it was like, what the hell is this? And then 2 weeks later, basically, national announcement of COVID goes into effect, and they announce like, oh, we're gonna like it was weird because if I actually looked at this email, it's like the first half of it was like, oh, this is stuff that's happening, the stuff they were doing, and then at the very bottom in like a weird paragraph. It's like, oh, and we're basically closing down.
Yeah, and
it's like, what? And I think even before the alpha, so like at about mid-February, they were having another land sale. So it's like, oh, buy more land. And it's like, you start putting all these pieces together in hindsight, it's like, okay, wait, back the truck up a second. Not only was like the past 8 years now just a complete farce, but the fact that you were asking for money, basically a month before you're closing. It's like if you're any kind of business person, you would know that one basically you're running out of money, or you would see this coming. But the thing is, like they tried to say like, oh, the COVID thing was why we're closing down and we're not going to be able to.
Yeah, I'm seeing that in the letter.
It's like no. This is like, you knew you're using COVID as a cover.
Yeah.
And trying to sneak off into like a thief in the night. And it's like, wow. And it's like, again, like I'm not mad at myself for having attempted to back it or whatever.
No.
But like many other things, like this is some skullduggery here going on. It's like you're being very. It feels very two-faced, and I know apparently, as usual, when these things happen, apparently the developer got death threats. I do not condone that, by the way.
No, hell no, no.
Like that, that's over the line. It's like you can be angry, but it's like when you start threatening people, it's like no. That's crossing a line. That's too much.
It is too much. And again, be mad at yourself. Like, you have to understand what you're backing. And I'll even add to this. I'll give another example. Shroud of the Avatar, which I would have, I'd love to have gotten Richard on here to talk about at points, and we could never really make our schedules gel. But it's a good game in the sense of I love Ultima games, or what could be an Ultima game. And this definitely has the spirit of that. And it's a complete game, and I do want to say that. It's not like this one where it was a game that never was. It's a complete game. There's a complete quest line you can follow start to finish. There is an amazing, passionate community behind it. But I think it's just another example, of a game that has a very ambitious creative designer behind it, like Richard, who's very passionate about what he does and what he believes in, and but I can see why there's people that are like, oh, this game underdelivered. But the difference is they delivered on their promise.
They delivered, yeah. They at least delivered something. It's like,
they delivered
could
something.
You say like it didn't meet all expectations? Sure, but yeah, when you just like completely like it's like you basically worked on it the night before, push something out and hoping for an A. It's like
no. And what's their face? I'm looking at it now. Soulbound Studios fucking knew in February that this shit wasn't gonna happen.
If not sooner. Like, I mean, like I feel any good business, we should be able to see things are not going in the right direction within like 6 months. I'd say at minimum a 6 month. It's like, because you got to be able to, they had offices, they had everything else. Like, you can't see within 6 months something is going wrong, and so your solution was to try and squeeze, your
buy
community.
More land. Yeah, and I will say, I'll be honest with you, that was my worry, and still is in some respects with Star Citizen. But watching your streams, like, they are delivering content, and I think that is the big difference. Like, they're asking for a fuckload of money in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, it still feels skeevy even to me as a player, like that they keep having these super expensive ships. I understand the concept of it, but it's like you're getting to a point where the game is actually getting kind of playable, and you still have these things out there, and like super expensive, and some of it still isn't available or whatever. It's like, it's like I certainly hope they continue to follow through with things like, because it will be probably the biggest gaming disaster if we don't get to a final point with Star Citizen. Now, again, they are delivering stuff like, 3.9 is just on the horizon. We're getting like a prison system with that. It's looking very, very cool. And they're already lining up what 4.0 is, which is the new solar system that you would be able to travel to eventually.
Yeah, it's getting there, but I will say it is worrying me, because like I'm looking at what they're delivering, and it's like Elite Dangerous is kind of doing some stuff like that. X4 is kind of doing some stuff like that, not in the degree that they want to do it, and I'll say that. But they're starting to worry me, so we'll see what happens there. But this says it all right here. I'm reading a letter from Soulbound Studios to our community off of Kickstarter. On March 24th, I posted a State of Elyria update for our game, Chronicles of Elyria, to our blog. In that post, I informed our community that due to the underperformance of our recent Settlers of Elyria event and the economic impact of the global COVID-19 pandemic. Alright, pause the tape. The first part of that sentence is the real thing here. You released something, a big event that, to Nick's own testament, was utter shit. This has nothing to do with COVID-19. And I agree with you that I think I'm reading the rest of this letter, and it's a complete fucking cover.
Yeah. It's like you look at it, and you look at everything that's happened leading up to this is like, 2 and 2 does not make 5.
Yeah. No, and you know, I'm a project manager in my day job, and I have been a part in projects in my entire career that have multi-million-dollar budgets, deadlines, and you know, I know because as a project manager, we fight these battles with executive leadership. We do this every day of our career where we say, either A, we need more time, or B, we need more money. And here's why. And we have to back that up with facts and data and results. And I can't think, I mean, granted, and I will say COVID-19 is a very, very once in a century unique situation. And I would say I am lucky that I'm still employed. I'm doubly lucky that my company that I work for is fucking amazing. They're very understanding. They're very concerned about their employees' welfare, and they, you know, are flex schedules, take care of yourselves, take care of your families. I'm super lucky, and I'm putting that on the table. And it is not typical, because I have a lot of friends that I know that are laid off. I have a lot of friends that I know are going to work and have no choice and are risking their lives and, by proxy, their families' lives. And, you know, when I see something like this and I see a company like this kind of hiding behind this for their own shady practices, it makes me mad. And I understand the frustration that a lot of people are probably feeling with this. But again, back to Nick's point, you really have to know who you're backing. And you really have to understand where you're putting your money. And more importantly, I think you nailed it, you have to be okay with losing it. That's why...
because even the best projects, you know, helmed by the
greatest people
can fall through.
Yeah,
but yeah, probably my biggest, you know, anger point with this is the either subterfuge or two-facedness of
it's total bullshit.
What's going on. Like if you were completely upfront and honest, and just like, you know, it's like we can't do it. You know, reaches exceeded our grasp type of thing.
Yeah,
and it's like,
just
there'd be disappointment, but it's like, okay, you know, it's like you can be honest about it, and I'm sure you can explain reasons and whatnot. But yeah,
and
like
I think people would be less upset.
Else.
I think people would be less upset about that. We reached too high, we fell too far. And that is the spirit of Kickstarter. Like that right there, like if you went out and said, look, we got carried away. We thought we could pull this off. In their case, though, I don't think there's any excuse. Like, you can't be selling land grabs in February when you know you're in the hole.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. And that's it. I mean, that's it. It's another great example of know what you're getting into and know who you're backing. Like I knew backing Shroud of the Avatar, and I'm telling you this as a hardcore Richard Garriott fan. I dropped $120 in their first Kickstarter. I did not think that I would see that grand vision. I love Richard to death. He'll be one of my favorite developers till the day I die. And I love his vision on anything he's a part of. But I'd say he's half a Molyneux. And I say that with love.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Richard has grand vision, and it's never quite implemented to the full degree of what he wants it to be. And that's just because, in my opinion, I don't think it's generally ever really possible with time and money that's available. He's not a full Molyneux. And I love Peter to death.
You never go full Molyneux.
I love Peter. I love Peter Molyneux. I don't think there's any other developer that is quite as visionary as Peter. But I also don't think there's any other developer quite as able to fail to live up to that vision as Peter. But I will love him too forever, just because it's people like him that push our industry and make us strive to do better things. Because there are developers that'll see that and say, well, fuck you, I'll take that vision and I'll do it. And I'll do it full. And that's what pushes us forward. But I knew that getting into that Kickstarter, and I recommend anybody feeling exceptionally burned by Chronicles of Elyria that you do the same anytime you back a project on there. I don't like to push those very often, but like I will push, for certain developers like Lori and Corey Cole, they'll deliver a product, and they'll deliver their vision of a product, but they're very careful about what they promise. And I think
and to that, they've produced stuff before, so that's always a good sign of a Kickstarter, because
and they've done Kickstarters before, which is very important.
Yeah. The ones that I regularly back, there's like the video games concert series. They usually do like pressings of their CDs. Like I don't know how many they've done now. Like I think they're up to like 5 or 6 albums now. It's like boom, it's like that comes up. It's like it's
going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
They've done it before. They know the scope, and same thing with Lauren and Corey, where they've done Kickstarters before. They've gone through this gauntlet before. They've been able to produce stuff, and so they're saying like, okay, we'd like to do another game. Is the audience still out there for that? And the audience / commerce market will speak to that. And I think that speaks that's huge testament to not only what they're producing, but that they're able to produce it. And I have pretty high confidence factor that's like, okay, this next game, it'll come out.
Yeah, I'm 99.999% certain that Summer Days at Hero U will deliver. Because I am a part of their Discord, so I get to be a part of the discussions as their development goes through. But B, they're not, and they never have been, the kind of developers to, flashy, and it's going to do this and it's going to do that. It's like, no, we're going to give you a fun story, a fun adventure game, and you're going to enjoy it if you enjoyed our other stuff. That's what they're promising, and I know they'll deliver on that. Mm-hmm. And I always caution people, Nick and I have been playing games for over 30 years, I'm sure, at this point. And following them very intently with stuff that we've been interested in. Him and I used to have hours-long conversations at work and outside of work of games that we heard about, that were on the horizon, that we're really into, that we've been following. One of those 20 years ago was Star Citizen. And so, like, we've seen this before. And I would just caution anybody, when a game sounds so great on paper and it's everything you wanted it to be, before you drop that $120, drop the $20. Just be a little bit of a backer and watch, because most of these campaigns will continue funding and will promise more, and you really need to watch how long that continues. If that's a very regular thing, and I said it before, it's what worries me about Star Citizen, is they're still doing these very big cash grabs, and it's like, okay, so are we still trying to pay Mark Hamill to come finish his voice lines? Like, especially when you see games where they're promising a cast of Hollywood talent, and I think that's what worries me most about Star Citizen's campaign. We got Mark Hamill, and we got this, and it's like Wing Commander, but not Wing Commander, and it's like Mark Hamill, he continues to get resurgence and popularity, and that means he's not cheap. So watch what you back, and we'll just leave it at that, and we'll see if I'm wrong about Star Citizen. I don't think I will be, but we'll go. We'll see. Other than that, we'll continue. We'll kind of start wrapping things up. We need a new Savepoint game of the month. I think what I might do is do a little more research after this episode. I'd like to see how much Streets of Rage 4 is going to be, because I'd like our next game to be a retro-inspired or retro game. And obviously that one's going to be that. I think it's going to be relatively cheap. I'll double check on that, but maybe that will be our game of the month. We can grab that. It comes out, and we'll start playing that for May. And we'll see what happens there. Now let's move on to voicemails.
The voicemail.
The voicemail. With the voicemail. Anybody remember Strong Bad aside from
No,
us?
right?
Get crazy. Everybody get crazy with the voicemail. All right. If you want to call and leave your input on the cast or answer our question of the bye week on Twitter, which I generally try to release earlier in the week, but 9 times out of 10 it's 6 hours before we record on Twitter, follow at theretrorents and we'll put it there, or follow me at retrorentsal where I retweet it. I'll retweet the number and you can call and leave your input. The number is 610. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still recovering from COVID, like that other company. Actually, I just should have the number in front of me, and I don't. The number is 610-810-1654. Call, let us know your opinions, your answer to the question, or just talk about whatever you're playing right now that you really think me and Nick and Kyle should check out, and we'll definitely look into that. Other than that, let's go over to the voicemail. We have a long-time listener, a long-time friend of mine, and a first-time caller. They're both the same person. Let's hear what Josh has to say.
What's up, dudes? My name's Joshua Ian, long-time friend, first-time caller. I just wanted to buzz in and, throw my support behind some games I've been playing lately. I've been playing the heck out of Jedi Fallen Order. Awesome game, awesome. It just certainly does not reinvent the wheel, but it makes the wheel a little bit better than all of the previous incarnations. It borrows from so many games and doesn't introduce anything new, but just puts it all together in a good package that's been entertaining the heck out of me. Let's see what else. I know I'm a big Star Wars fanboy right now, but Star Wars Battlefront 2, me and my fiance have been playing the heck out of that, and it is a blast. We just play co-op. We're scrubs, and we just play co-op and shoot some AI, have some fun for an hour or two a night. It's a blast. Outside of that, Animal Crossing, of course. All this death and destruction and mayhem outside in the world around us, and a little bit of, fun, friendly Animal Crossing vibes goes a long way to help the mental sanity. Anyways, dudes, keep doing what you do. I appreciate it, and, game on, boys.
Thank you, Josh.
Game on, indeed.
Game on. It's great to hear from you, my friend. Him and I used to work together at the same place that me and Kyle used to work together. We all used to work together. Yeah, we all used to work together. And he's a real great dude. Thanks for calling in, man. It's funny you mentioned Fallen Order. That's one of my stepchildren, bastard stepchildren of the past 2 weeks. I've been playing that a little bit. I re-upped my EA Origin Premier Access for another year because I got it on an equally good price. And that allows me to play the ultimate version of all their games. And I started playing Fallen Order. And I would agree. I haven't played it too long. I maybe have 5 hours into it over the past month. And I definitely plan on playing more of it when I finish some other stuff. It's very cool. It definitely has very solid mechanics. The story is fun. It's a good Star Wars game. It's a damn good Star Wars game. And it's got a nice challenge to it, some nice difficulty, and I just think it's all around. It's really, really good. It's really solid, so I recommend it. Battlefront 2, I have not played in a few months. I did poke my head in back around the holiday season. I would agree. It's much more solid than it was at release. I think the unlocks system has been redone appropriately. And I look forward to giving that a better shot as well at some point in the future. Any thoughts on there, Nick?
I got to get around to Fallen Order. I hear nothing but good things about it. So I'm just kind of waiting for it to hit discount, and then I'm probably going to try and pick it up. Battlefront 2, I never got around to. I played Battlefront 1 way back in the day, had a blast with that. I will say, the amount of fan support around Battlefront 2, has been absolutely superb. I know it shows up in my my Reddit feed quite a lot with the Star Wars stuff, and just all the crazy skins and stuff that comes out of that. Yeah. I get one thing I guess has recently happened. I think it was the community manager I can't recall his name right now, but apparently he got promoted to producer.
Dope.
So it's like, wow. I mean, it's like you can go places, and apparently, like he's like as a community manager, he was very communicative with the team. It's like nothing but praise, it seems, from at least the Reddit threads that I've seen and whatnot. So it's like I always appreciate the community managers that are out there, because like I say, they're on the front lines of dealing with the gaming community out there. They may not necessarily be devs. Some are, some aren't. But I mean, they're taking the brunt of like the vitriol and the victory of dealing with the players, and kudos to them. And no matter whoever happens to be listening that is out there that is a community manager, I'm sure you're wearing multiple hats. It's like, bravo to you for being able to take on that role.
And know that something like that can get you in the door. Like if you're really into if you're really into a game, and you're active on forums. I had an opportunity in the past. I don't even want to really like say which game or anything like that, because I don't want to like fucking toot my own horn or anything. But like I was really, really into a game, and I followed, all its development. I would talk to developers, and I would answer questions on forums. And I was like, "Oh, hey, you want to be our community manager?" And I was like, "No." Just at the time, I knew it was I couldn't really handle it. But I
think it is a special breed of person.
It is. Like I could do it now
to take on that role effect.
Yeah, I could do it now because I face fucking gun squads like in my job. It's no problem to me. But like back then, I didn't have the skin for it. But like there are some people that like they started as community managers, and then you become producer to games, where you have input on how a game develops and what people want in a game. As a producer, you have the say to say, like, I'm connected with the community and this is what they want, and I think we need to do X to deliver on that. So I always give community managers a lot of credit. If there are some shining examples, like Digital Extremes, the Warframe community manager. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but she is fucking phenomenal. Like just as a community manager, she's just incredible.
Definitely. Like again, I don't play Warframe, but I've seen it come up before. Where it's like, you can always tell when a game's very healthy, when there's that level of communication, either straight from the devs or at least via the community team. And I always see that as a portion of a good sign of not only the health of the game, but obviously the health of the gaming community within that game. Yeah. And I think it actually does a lot to help promote positivity. And, no matter what game you go to, there will always be some level of toxicity. But I believe, where there's that level of positivity, it helps kind of suppress, the toxic levels. A good community manager,
a good community manager can by sunshiny attitude, I know, can help disperse a lot of toxicity very quickly. Yeah. And help make a very welcoming, very inclusive community.
Yes.
And I give them so much respect. And considering the vitriol that Battlefront 2 got, in my opinion at the beginning, which was very much deserved, based on the money grab that EA was doing. I think that's another game. Like we've been talking about a lot of games that are like still trucking along. Like I'd say, Battlefront 2 is one of those where it's like they're trucking along, and they kind of, I think, learned from their mistake, and I think did right by the community. Yeah, and a lot of people love to shit on EA, and a lot of times I would say it's deserved, but I would say in this case, EA, they listened, and yes, there are still loot boxes, but I would say the model that they adapted to was reasonable and good enough, to the point where other companies are now following suit, and they're doing something very similar, where it's cool cosmetic shit, or it's special unlockable characters for a limited time, and if you play the game hard enough and long enough, you can unlock them during this X week period, or you can just buy it for a couple of bucks. If you don't have that time. They're doing it, they're doing it the right way now. Whereas before it was like, oh, you'd have to play 150 hours before you could unlock Darth Vader, or you could pay $10. At the beginning they weren't doing it right, and I think to their, not credit, but to their defense, I don't think people really knew how to do it right yet. when Battlefront 2 came out. There really wasn't that formula yet. Nobody, and again, I understand, and though I hate a lot of businesses for this, where it's like they just want to make as much money as possible, they didn't quite know what they could get away with yet. So that was like, sky was the limit. Let's see, what we can do with the Lucasfilm fucking brand name, and see how hard we can pound people. And but I think they learned from it, and it's good to see that turning around. So yeah, no, Josh, I'm with you. I'm gonna have to check that out. I had fun in the time I checked it out last time you and I talked about it, and I look forward to playing it again at some point once I finish Persona and Bannerlord. And again, if you want to call and leave your feedback and input, it's 610-810-1654. Nobody worry. I talked to I saw Uncle Fred retweet us on Twitter. Fred French is doing fine. I heard him on the Bad Fodder Figures. He's good. He's dealing with isolation well, and he's still looking for adventures of, what was it, Lolo? Adventure of Lolo? He still wants the sequel to that, and I'm with him there. Other than that, we'll go to our question of the bye week, which was, what games are you enjoying during this period of isolation? I think Josh gave us some cool answers there. Animal Crossing, I think my wife's enjoying for the same reason. And I know Matt over at Bad Fodder Figures said the same thing. During this crazy time, it's just great to have a really relaxing game where you can just go relax, do farmy stuff and hang out with friends and neighbors. I think it was perfect timing in a weird way for Animal Crossing, and it's doing really well because of it. On the Savepoint, we got Troy. He said he finished Breath of the Wild just in time for Final Fantasy VII, to which our own Kyle said, just now? And then Troy tried to recover and look cool and say, yeah, I got to Ganon and thought it was too easy, so I started over on hard, and that was a royal pain in the ass with the weapon durability. Okay, Troy. Sure. And this is when I knew we had a good voicemail. Josh replied to that, oh man, first time caller. So it was good to hear from you, Josh. I think that was all we got. I didn't see anything come through on Twitter, but just for just for the sake of making sure, I will double check. But no, I don't think we got any answers, because I know I tend to neglect our Twitter repliers. But no, we didn't get any answers to question of the bye week. And again, that's my own fault. Normally I send it out earlier in the week, but we're just kind of getting back in the saddle on this thing after some time off, and I didn't send it out till pretty late. So that's that. I'll work on another question of the bye week and send that out before we record, with much more time to spare and a lot more reminders. But other than that, we will move on to the end of the show. Wrap it up. Conclusions, final thoughts, and shout-outs. Nick, what's going on with you? Anything you want to promote, or anybody you want to shout out?
No, I don't think anything's going on right now. Just stay.
I heard you got the drugs. I heard you got the drugs.
Yes. If you happen to catch my stream on Thursday, So I'll a little story, a little space story. So playing some Star Citizen on stream. It starts innocently enough. I do a cargo run. It's like, you know what? I want to go find this drug lab. So basically, there's a drug lab on one of the planets. It's not marked anywhere, so it actually takes a little bit to actually find. I have to use a YouTube video to use a mountain range to kind of plot my course and okay, it looks like that. And I finally find the drug lab. I'm like, yes, all right. And the thing is, I know that going into this is right now the police are disabled because it was a little buggy in the last patch, and I think they're basically getting him ready for the prison stuff that happens in the next patch. So right now the police are disabled, so they're not going to, there's no one to pull you over if you're running drugs. So and drugs are ridiculously profitable. And so I went into this I'll find this drug lab. I'll pick up a whole cargo load of it and I'll go sell it. So I get there, scoop up everything they have in the drug lab, put it into my ship, and then take off for the nearest station that where I know you can sell them. I get there, And I have no idea who I actually have to sell it to. Thinking that, like, because there's terminals you actually sell your regular cargo to, and I don't know this, so I'm like going all over the place, and there's like NPCs around. I was like, is this? Do you want some drugs? You want some drugs? And the kicker though is I finally find the terminal and I'm able to sell it, but I can only sell in like little 20 batches of it. So I have to spend hours. So, luckily, again, I'm also in a position where I'm able to, work remotely and whatnot. So basically, I'm working remotely, and every couple minutes or so, I'm leaning over because there's a kind of a tick rate to the demand for the drugs. So every couple of minutes, I'm leaning over with it and selling my 20 drugs. Bloop. Selling my 20 drugs. Bloop.
Nick, quote unquote, Walter White.
I am the threat.
The only thing that worried me was Space Ether, and I knew we'd get into that rotten stuff pretty soon. Oh, that's too funny, man. I was fucking rolling when I saw that clip. I was like, Nick running drugs. I've fucking seen everything at this point in time.
And if anything, that stream definitely proved this is why I actually don't try or do drugs in real life, because I would fail horribly.
For anyone who doesn't know, I don't think I saw this dude drink a beer until he hit his mid-30s. Oh my god. But yeah, alright, we'll wrap this up. I had to push your stream in the best way there. Yeah, it's Black Eagle Ops on Twitter. I'm telling you, follow him.
Indeed.
You're a fucking great streamer, dude. You entertain the hell out of me every time I jump on. Yeah, it's good stuff. I want to give a shout out, obviously, to our listeners. Thank you for sticking with us in some very tough times. I know everybody's got better things to do and more things to worry about. So if you are listening, I really do appreciate that, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it gives you some respite and some normality to all the crazy shit going on. I want to give a huge shout out to our pals at the Everyday Gamers, who are now kicking things off again. They had a really great kind of coming back episode with some guests from the community at large and podcasting. It was fantastic. And Eric / AZ Rockslide, it was great to hear you again. Chris, holy headshot, holy shit. It was good to hear you back, kind of giving a mini take as well. It was just great to hear the Everyday Gamers coming back. So I can't wait to see what y'all do. Again, I can't wait to hear you back, hear the next episode. I'm just so happy those guys are back, because they were an inspiration that kind of got us off the ground in our very, very early days. So, much love to those guys. Bad Fodder Figures, our second inspiration. They're the bad uncle that I always want to be. And, big shout out to Mike, Matt, Eric, and Jeremy. You're still part. You got to come back, brother. I love those guys. I listen to them every week. I call in every week. Half the time it's not very coherent because I'm either half asleep or half drunk, depending on the time of day. No, I kid, but I love those guys. They have such a great podcast. It's so fun to listen to. Shout out to the gang at Married to the Games, and Tap the Craft. Again, I hope everybody in the podcast community as well. I know this is a really, really tough time, and it's really hard to kind of talk games and talk fun things with so much serious shit going on. But, for the people that are, and again, I know it takes a lot to kind of get in this mindset and talk about fun things and things that we're doing to keep entertained. But I feel like it's a good thing to do. So if you're doing it and you're able to do it, I really just hats off to all of y'all for keeping it going. And if you're in a spot where you can't do it right now, just know we're thinking of all of you, and I think we all we long for the days of going back to some kind of normality. But just know you're not alone. We all love you, man. Like we're all people, and I think, despite some very divided times in our country right now, I think something like this reminds us that we're all people, man. We all just want the very best out of life, for ourselves and our families and the people we care about. So I would just say, try to be empathetic to the people around you. Try to understand where other people are coming from. And just embrace the people around you, even if it's over FaceTime and, through a well-meant email. Whatever, people need to know that there's a hug out there and that people love them. And that, during times of isolation and physical distancing that they're still cared about. So make sure you're reaching out to family members that may not have been able to get out as much to begin with. Reach out to your friends and just say hello. And take care of yourselves. I try not to get too fucking preachy on here, but it hasn't really been easy, in any respect, I think, for anybody. And I got very lucky in that the case I got of this pandemic was very mild, in my opinion. I mean, I walked away with, I got my sense of smell back and my life back. There are people that didn't get to say goodbye, people that they love and care about. So just try to be more empathetic to the people around you, and just be a good person. I think this reminds us that we're all people. And I didn't mean to go off too much on that diatribe, but
I think it was good. It's like, take care of yourself, self-care.
Until next time.
Reach out to someone if you're feeling lonely or anything.
Yeah, reach out to somebody. Reach out to us. Like, if you I say it every week, but if you want to just talk games with me or Nick, it's theretrorents Al on Twitter. He's Black Eagle Ops on Twitter. We'll talk games with anybody. We love talking games. If you want to just talk video games or just reach out and say hi, I'm here, man. I check Twitter pretty regularly. Like Nick, I'm lucky enough to where we can, I can work remotely and I can check on a few things and do a few things around the house during my work day. So if you want to say hi, if you need someone to talk to, hit me up anytime, man. I'll get back to you eventually. And just know there's people out there that care about you and love you, and there's people out there that I'm sure that need you. So just check on them and make sure they're okay. And other than that, have fun, play games, and until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. I'm probably gonna get sued for that. So just have fun, play games, and don't be dicks. I can't steal from Springer. All right, take care, everybody.